Chapter 12, Bank Heist. For the first time in a while, Kurogiri called a meeting for everyone in Black Cross. It was unusual for him to call a meeting, which meant that a foe responded to their mission plan. "All right then, Kuro," said Izuku. "What's the final verdict?" The air was surprisingly tense. The others wanted this plan to be approved, for it would be a way to cure boredom. And to also relieve some stress, although they would not say it out loud. Kurogiri clears his throat and then shouts in a prideful tone, "Afo told me to quote him on this, so this is what he said. I find amusement in the fact that you think you can pull off a fight with no hostages injured or killed. So then Izuku, amuse me. Show me that I did not make a mistake in choosing you. If you succeed, I have a surprise for you." After a slight bit of silence in the air, they all shout in happiness and excitement. But Kurogiri quickly shut them up by speaking up once more. "To successfully pull off this mission you will need a disguise. So I used my connections to whip up some official Black Cross uniforms." Kurogiri then opens a box revealing them and letting the Black Cross reach into it and figure out which uniform is their own. The uniforms were rather simple, but that simplicity made them more appealing. A hooded cloak with a chest piece on it. Each piece is meant for a different member. And they each came with a dark red mask covering everything except the mouth. The eye holes had thin pieces of string layers covering them, so the person wearing it could see clearly, but those who weren't couldn't see the eyes, eye color. "I think this one is too big for me." Everyone turned to see Alice, who looked like a child wearing her father's clothes. It was honestly quite funny, so much so that it was hard to hold back laughter. Well, only one person didn't hold back her boisterous laughter. "Ha ha ha!" shouted Syra, and she was practically on the ground dying from laughing so much. Izuku never understood why Syra was so merciless against Alice, but maybe it was because of the whole vampire thing. In the midst of all this, everyone heard a strange sound coming from Alice's clothes. They could see the coat slowly shrinking to fit Alice's height and body type. It was pretty cool to watch, but the show was soon over as Alice did a few twirls while looking in the mirror. Her eyes were practically shining in astonishment. "It's a perfect fit," she whispered loudly. "It's a perfect fit," she shouts as she admires herself more and spins around faster. It seemed that deep down Alice did like the uniforms and was probably bummed out when she couldn't wear them. Now that Alice was a progenitor vampire, she ages as humans do now. Does that mean she starts acting at the age she's supposed to? Izuku isn't sure, but Alice is far nicer now than when they first met. That could be attributed to the fact that the stakes were higher back then, but now she can finally relax and enjoy herself more. A smile appeared across Izuku's face while watching Alice twirl around. He then felt someone nudge him from his left. Izuku looked up to see that it was Syra. She had this teasing grin on her face. Izuku has seen this face before from a certain periwinkle-haired girl. "What?" Izuku remarks, knowing what she is going to say. "I see the way you look at her. You like her, don't you?" retorts Syra. "Just drop it already. You won't get the reaction you want." "Oh? Well then Izuku, don't you know it is taboo for a king to marry his servant?" "I said drop it." Bahadar saw this unfold. "He's changed a lot from when we first met. That lonely depressed kid is no more. I'm glad you finally gained some confidence, Izuku." "I really am, but I wonder. Will I be able to as well?" A few hours later. The sound of a monitor can be heard playing the news. Breaking news. A group that calls themselves the Black Cross have taken over a bank. Reports suggest that the video is paused. A white mouse-like figure slowly looks over across his desk. "This broadcast was 15 minutes ago. I already called on heroes nearby to go shut them down, but they all failed. I don't think these are just a random group of nobodies," the mouse says. "So you think they are some sort of organization? Like a foe?" Another, more human, figure says. This figure is a slender and tall, pale-skinned man with messy, shoulder-length black hair. sporting a baggy black outfit that consists of a long-sleeved shirt and matching pants that tuck into his boots. Well, not exactly. The reason is that they haven't killed or harmed the hostages, plus the heroes only have minor injuries. I can assume they're doing this for publicity, but I wonder why they would need to do this. If they were strong, wouldn't it have been better to stay quiet and surprise us? That is the reason I requested you to today. I want you to go in and see for yourself just what they are up to and to let us know of their quirks. Of course, if things get too dangerous, retreat immediately. Are you ready, Mr. Aizawa? Yes, Principal Nezu. Aizawa arrives on the scene. Weaker heroes in the surrounding area were told to stop attacking and stay on the sidelines and prepare to help evacuate the hostages. Aizawa is not sure how to approach the bank since he is just right at the entrance. He supposes that he should just walk in through the front. Normally we would not be so careless, but these people seem to have a different objective rather than just robbing a bank. He assumes that they won't harm him, probably just injure him and then take him outside, like they've done with the rest of the heroes. Aizawa enters the bank to see a girl with pink hair and a red mask covering her eyes and nose, but not her mouth. She wears a black hooded cloak with the chess piece knight on it. She is sitting down cross-legged, sharpening a katana. Aizawa slowly creeps closer and tries to speak. What is your objective? He questions the girl, hoping to make this easier for himself. That is none of your concern, hero. The girl answers. She raises the katana in her hand to admire her work, and when she does, the katana lights ablaze before quickly going out. She slowly sheathes her katana and then stands up from the ground. She seemed to not care that a hero was before her. Aizawa was confused. Did she do that to threaten him? Aizawa was quickly trying to read body language as well as take in any other signs to try and figure them out. But it seems he was caught. It's no use, says the pink-haired girl. Even if you overanalyze my every movement, you won't be able to figure out what's going on. What we're doing is far beyond the scope you think it is. This whole plot is way larger than you believe. We've been waiting to make our move for quite some time now, and we believe that now is our best shot. Shit, thought Aizawa. He forgot that it was a group of villains. He immediately looked around to see that he was surrounded by 3 more people from behind. They all wore similar outfits, each with a different chess piece. Aizawa turned to look at the one with the king piece on his cloak. So, are you the leader? There was no response. Aizawa could feel himself getting a cold sweat. Even if he could stop quirks, it could only be one person at a time. So a 4-on-1 was very disadvantageous to him. He noticed that the pink-haired girl unsheathed her katana along with the silver-haired man and his sword. Her katana lit ablaze and the man's sword glowed brightly. The other 2 stayed still and didn't move nor get into a fighting stance. Aizawa was nervous. Perhaps they were waiting for a more well-known hero to kill and gain recognition. Not to brag, but he thought himself to be pretty popular, but he's nowhere near the likes of. I am here. A giant man with yellow hair breaks through the wall and lands right next to Aizawa. Took you long enough, says Aizawa. Well, calling for me after my patrol while I'm busy allows for me to be a little late, right? Now then, surrender, or you'll face justice by the hands of me. All Might. All of a sudden a wall of ice surrounds them. All Might easily break through it, but that slight opening gave them enough time to group up. The king looks to be the one who created the ice wall, but then shoots electricity out of his hands to set off the fire sprinklers. Aizawa has no time to be shocked by this person having 2 quirks. He uses his quirk on King and immediately notices that the quirk cuts off. After this, King shouts now. The white-haired girl nods and pulls back a punch while facing a wall. Aizawa was confused. Was she going to break it? Someone of such a small size could never break a wall with strength alone, right? Well, Aizawa was wrong. She punches and breaks right through the wall. Every member runs outside. Wasting no time, Aizawa and All Might chase after them. unfortunately losing sight of them from behind the wall for no more than 3 seconds. They reach the outside and realize that they're gone. How? Questions Aizawa in his mind. It makes no sense. Unless another one of them had 2 quirks that allowed for group teleportation. If that's the case, this is bad. Well, they're not as bad as I thought. Well, then Aizawa, I leave the cleaning up to you. All Might says as he jumps away. Aizawa sighs, things are gonna be different around here for a while. Aizawa returns to the principal's office, and gives Nezu a USB. Nezu plugs it in and he sees a video playing. The video was a body cam of Aizawa at the bank and what happened. Aizawa uses this method because it saves him the time from writing out a report on paper. Once the video ended, Nezu turned towards Aizawa. Good work today, you can leave. That's it? Of course you're free for the rest of the day, although you should get some rest since it's late and especially after what happened. I think you and I both know that I don't sleep. Well, off you go. Aizawa leaves and soon after Nezu speaks, as if to himself. So you think a foe is on the move again? Surprisingly a voice responds. Yes, I believe that to be the case. The figure looks to All Might, but they were smaller, skinnier and weaker. Well then, Toshinori, care to explain? Normally it isn't uncommon for quirks to possess multiple elements since people like Shoto Todoroki exist. Nezu nods in agreement. However, his quirk is split into halves that he can use. Both exist as one, but for King, that's a different story. He can use both ice and lightning without any restrictions, as seen in the video. For example, Kenzo Midoriya can create and control both lightning and ice, but their limits are one is on his right and the other on his left. Nezu nods. While there are some holes in your argument, I can't deny the possibility that a foe is involved in this. So for now, I will call on some people from America to sort of focus primarily on Black Cross and stop them. Why can't I? You have limited time per day now, so it is dangerous to go to a place where a foe might be when you're low on stamina already. All right Nezu, I'll leave this in your hands for now. But if a foe is found, be sure that you call on me first. Toshinori leaves and shuts the door. Nezu opens his phone and goes to contacts. He scrolls until he sees the name President. He dials. After a short second of ringing, the phone picks up a signal. Hello there Nezu, I thought you wouldn't call me unless for emergencies. Well, I think you can consider this cause for slight concern. I sent you a file. Download it and watch. After a few minutes of silence, Nezu hears the voice speak again. So you want us to do what? Stop them and track down a foe. After all, it is our goal. The voice sighs. Fine then, I guess it's about time I repay you for your help. Yes, now then, good night Mr. President. Have a good night Principal Nezu. The next day. In a dark room sit men across a rather long table. They each sit on one side of the table. The only light in the room comes from the opposite side, for a projector displays a video of what happened last night at a bank in Japan. So they want us to stop them? Isn't that a little underwhelming? Well, according to the president, this group might be connected to a foe. Of course, while that is interesting, I have some more troubling news to share. All the men in the room turned towards the figure that spoke of something more concerning than a foe, which is preposterous to them. Well then Lucas, tell them what you told me. A young man with blonde hair wearing a white hoodie and black pants slowly walked forwards from the shadows, as if he had something to say. Yes, Father, I believe that this person who is the king of this group is just like me, possessing the power of infinite growth. All the men immediately fly into screaming chatter. Shock and confusion filled the room, and phrases like impossible and no way were said. Quiet. The man, now known as Father, shouted, shutting them all up. I already made my decision on what to do. Lucas, tell them the verdict. Lucas takes in a deep breath. Recruit the king. And if he refuses? Kill him. The men went back to chatting to themselves. They all agreed that this plan was rather simple, but it was effective. And you believe that you can kill him? I can kill him with a single flick of my finger. Further clears his throat, gaining everyone's attention. Even then, we will provide you with a team of prodigies from around the world to assist you. Use them however you like. I will use them to the best of my abilities and your interest. Good. You are excused. Thank you, Father. Lucas leaves the room shortly after a figure speaks. I wish my kid was as good as yours. You don't wish that thing was your kid, trust me. They all gave a confused glance at Father. He sighed. Lucas has found a new toy to play with, so much so that he gives it its own room. And spends all his time with it. And even feeds it, much to the toy's dismay. Is there something wrong with that? That toy is a human girl. I believe she was his senior from middle school. The other men's faces became grim. I installed a camera in that room to see exactly what he was up to. But all he does is sit in the chair next to the bed where the girl lies. When she wakes up he waits to see how she reacts to him, if she starts panicking, crying, or screaming. He injects her with a quirk-stopping drug. That side effect is extreme drowsiness. So the girl just ends up going right back to sleep. This has been going on for months. And why haven't you stopped him? Simple. I can't. You can't? I've thought about ways to try and convince him to stop, but they would all end with him killing me, so I never tried. But now I have at least a way that the girl can be saved. Father puts down a small stack of paper. It shows a person's name, quirk, as well as a picture. You see this girl here? He lifts the paper and shows the others a girl named Elise Caesar. This person is a young prodigy from France chosen to assist in this mission. And she is also the kidnapped girl's younger sister. The other men were in shock. This plan might work. Since if the girl succeeded in saving her sister and Lucas does find out, they can say that they didn't know. Well, good luck with your plan. I do hope it works out. The others nod in agreement. Further looks down at Elise's paper once more. I hope so too. The end.